Good day, folks. Sean here from Air Photography. So the DJI Osmo Action 5 Pro has been out for about a year now, and I thought I'd make a follow-up video just kind of going over my user experience after using it for the past year. The Action 5 Pro has definitely become my go-to action camera. I've talked about that in many videos over the past year, why I really like it. So we're just going to touch base on that again. Now, for myself, I use action cameras for creating here on YouTube. I use them while capturing on my dirt bike, my electric bikes. Sometimes I mount them on my RC vehicles when I'm traveling, and when I'm doing stuff like this, just outdoors hiking, and I want to capture some content for social media. Now, there are a lot of great action cameras available to choose from. You know, the Insta360 Ace Pro 2 is a good action camera. Of course, the GoPro Hero 13 Black. But I always find myself reaching for my DJI Osmo Action 5 Pro. And that's actually for a few specific reasons. The first reason, and to me a really important one, probably the most important, is that it is reliable and stable. And I don't want to knock GoPro at all. I actually quite enjoy my GoPro as well. But if you have been a GoPro user, you know sometimes they lock up, they freeze up, and sometimes they're just not all that reliable. The footage looks fantastic, but that doesn't mean anything when you hit record and the camera locks up and all your footage is lost. And I've had that so many times. I've lost footage, and that's a real problem because sometimes you don't get an opportunity to do a second take. Now, I must admit that GoPro has improved over the last 2 generations, but I'm still experiencing some freeze ups with my Hero 13 Black, to the point where you got to pull the battery out just to get the camera turned back on again. But with the DJI, every action camera that I've owned from them, starting with the original Osmo Action, the Action 2, the Action 3, Action 4, and of course now the Action 5, not once have I ever had the camera lock up and freeze. I have never lost any footage, and to me that is extremely important. When you hit that record button on the Osmo Action 5 Pro, you always know that the footage is going to be there. It's going to be on the memory card. You don't have to worry about losing it or it becoming corrupted. Now, of course, another really important aspect of an action camera is the quality and the stabilization. And again, that's something you don't have to worry about with the Osmo Action 5 Pro, even when filming in auto. You know, sometimes you just don't have time to go in and set the settings the way you like, fine-tune some of the adjustments. You just hit record on full auto, and you know it's still going to look really good. And that's partly to do with the color temperature sensor that's built right into the front there. You know you're always going to have accurate colors, even in complex lighting conditions. And of course, the stabilization is really good. Now, it's really hard to say when it comes to stabilization what's better, a GoPro or a DJI action camera. I've done comparisons over the years, and I think sometimes the GoPro does look a little smoother in some scenarios, but it's really close. It's really not something I would make a purchasing decision over. Another important feature for me is the quick charging capability. The Osmo Action 5 Pro supports quick charging, which means you can have a battery up to approximately 80% in about 20 minutes. That's something GoPro has not yet adopted, and it can actually be quite a drastic difference. And it's something that has actually saved me a few times. Even the other day, I went out to do some filming, and I thought I had about 60% left on the battery. And when I powered it on, it was down to 11%. But not a worry, I just plugged it in for about 10-15 minutes and I had it up to 70%. That was more than enough to get out and film what I was planning on capturing. With a GoPro, if I had done that same thing, plugged it in for 10 or 15 minutes, it maybe would have added maybe 25% to the battery. So that quick charging feature and just a nice big battery, long-lasting battery, can be really important as well. Another really important feature to me is simplicity. And with Osmo Audio, you can easily connect a microphone directly to the camera, either by plugging a receiver directly into the USB-C port or connecting via Bluetooth audio. And the Bluetooth audio works extremely well. I think out of any action camera, DJI has the best Bluetooth audio. It's just reliable. You know, it always works. You don't have to repair every time, which I find sometimes with other action cameras, you have to repair the Bluetooth microphone. But you never have to, or I've never had to with my Action 5 Pro. On top of that, you actually have some settings you can go in and adjust if you go into the settings. And again, on other action cameras, that's just not available. So really convenient way to have nice audio if you're vlogging, moto vlogging. You know, you can just connect a Bluetooth microphone directly to it, something like the DJI Mic 2 or DJI Mic Mini, and you're going to have nice clean audio and just a nice simple way to do it. And of course, with the Action 5 Pro, we got a lot of little refinements, including a larger back screen, which can be really important in some scenarios for helping you frame shots or change settings. It has new and improved low light capability, so if you're going to be filming in low light situations or at night, you're going to have nicely exposed footage. Now, in all honesty, I don't really use my action cameras in those types of environments. I don't film at night with an action camera. Usually it's environments like this. I'm in a tree canopy, or under a tree canopy, I should say. And so the lighting in here is sometimes not the greatest, but with my Action 5 Pro, I know I'm going to have nicely exposed footage and nice accurate colors. The new subject tracking feature is actually really nice, especially if you're going to be using your action camera for vlogging. You just select the subject tracking mode, and the camera, as long as it's generally pointed at you, is going to stay locked onto you. So if you're vlogging with your Action 5 Pro, you don't have to worry so much about the framing. You can just go about your vlogging, and it's going to be framed nicely. So definitely a nice feature. Now it is limited to 2.7K, but for social media, if you're vlogging for social media, that is definitely more than adequate. Now I know a lot of people who had the Osmo Action 4 decided not to upgrade just because some of the upgrades were kind of limited, which we see across the board now. Technology is kind of at a standstill. They're going to wait perhaps until the Osmo Action 6 or 6 Pro gets released, and then it'll be maybe perhaps more worthwhile to upgrade. Now, I don't know what I would like to see on an Action 6. I am extremely happy with my Action 5, so I was thinking about that the other day, and I think for myself, maybe perhaps some higher resolutions, if we can get up to 5K resolution, which isn't terribly important to me. Of course, if they can make any improvement to the video quality, the stabilization is always a welcome bonus. I really like how they introduced the wide angle lens for the Osmo Action 5 Pro. I would like to see them expand on that further. To me, sometimes getting extremely wide shots, especially when I'm on my dirt bike or on my e-bike, those wide shots look really good. So anytime I can get a wider shot with still really good video quality, again, is very important to me. So if they can expand on that, that would be great. The other thing I would like to see with an Osmo Action 6 Pro is the ability to mount it vertically without having to use the frame. Now, really, I don't capture in vertical very often. I do from time to time. But it would be nice if I decide to, I could just use the magnetic mount and somehow have it mounted on the side without having to bring a frame with me. Because there have been times where I've been out filming and I want to capture some vertical, but I didn't bring the frame, so there's just no way to do it. Or even something like how GoPro has it, where you can do that right in the settings. That would be a nice feature to have. And of course, just any kind of general improvements, low light capability, audio quality improvements when you don't have a microphone with you. Now, I'm really curious what kind of improvements you would like to see with a DJI Osmo Action 6 Pro. Let me know down in the comments what improvements and features you would like to see added. So yeah, that has been my user experience with the DJI Osmo Action 5 Pro over the last year. Hopefully you enjoyed this video and found it had value. Thanks a lot for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.